Good morning, y'all. Keith Dykes here with W.K.D Construction, and welcome to my channel. On today's video, we're gonna get back at it to the master shower at the Melton Farm Project, and we're gonna install all of the tile. If you watched last week, you saw how we installed the culture marble shower base and all of the Curdy board Schluter waterproofing just to ensure that we've got a 100% waterproof shower enclosure. I've been setting tile for a long time. Is basically as long as I've been in construction. The guy I worked with, we did a couple small tile jobs back in like 94, 93. And then I over the years, worked with another guy that did a lot more tile. He really showed me the basics of just floor tile. And then over the years, I did some to get into showers. I worked for a guy remodeling his house, and he wanted me to prep his showers, and he owned Memphis Tile and Marble. It is Tommy Cox. He's out of Memphis, but he had a lake house up here. He had a vacation house up here, so he showed me the way how to waterproof and get the showers ready, and then he would bring his tile crew up and they would tile. But yeah, so that's the way I got into the showers, which is cool. But yeah, that was back long a time ago. We just used tar paper and some concrete board and some Vulcan, and that was our waterproofing. So over time, all the waterproofing systems have come just a long way, and just about, there's a dozen shower systems out there now. But I do like the Schluter. I prefer the Schluter. I haven't used a ton of them. I've used a few of them, but I just like the Schluter. So I'll get into a little tips and tricks, I guess, share with you some of my knowledge that I learned over the years on tile setting. I don't do it on a daily basis by any means. We do a lot of stuff, from framing. As you see here, we're in my new house. So this is going to be the next series here on my YouTube channel, is how we're going to build my forever home. But I just wanted to show y'all, just share with y'all some of my knowledge on tile setting. We're going to do some mitered niches in there. We're gonna do some subway tile vertically using my laser. Just some installation tips and tricks that, like I said, I've learned over the years, and I'm gonna share with you. So let's set some tile. Oh yeah, you don't lay tile, you set tile. You lay the ladies, they lay the women and set tile. It's time to lay out and set up for our tile installation. My Spectra laser, I love it. If you're not using a laser, get you a laser. I recommend a green laser. I've had the red lasers, you just can't see them really well. So Spectra has it's a dual. It's got a plumb bob. Basically a 290 degree view area, horizontal line, and then a vertical line that will nearly do a whole room. So you can set it up in the corner, and nearly, like if you're doing crown molding or something like that, or a chair rail, it'll nearly go around the entire room. So that's cool. But Spectra is good level. I'm sure the Stabila and all those others ones are good too. I have not used them, but I went with the Spectra because my main transit is a Spectra, and I've never had any issue with that, so I went with the Spectra. So I was trying to find the width, make sure my tiles would work on each side. If I centered my line, I just took and put my tiles together. I think there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I took one away, but I think 6 tiles. I had 24 from outside to outside, so it was going to work perfectly. By the time I set it up in the center, I'd have a rip, about half-inch rip off of each side, so that's going to look good. We are going to do a vertical brick pattern all the way up. My tile's going to end probably probably about 4 to 5 inches above that seam, and I'll probably just get some mesh tape, put it over there, and put a little thin set on it just to span that difference. But yeah, should be about 5 inches, I think, above the top of the Curdy board there. And then we're going to use I think I'm going to use quartz like a seal and wrap this whole entire opening. And then once I run the quartz, I will stack a row of tiles on top of it. That way, just to kind of clean it up. Out here, I'll probably use a little small piece of lathing trim to tie in that will be painted and match the baseboard and such. And of course, we will have glass and a glass door. And to make that top cut work out where I could run a piece, a few cuts on there, I'm going to have to cut about 3/4 of an inch off of each tile, which I do like to do that because sometimes you have a little variation in your shower pan. So I do like to cut the bottom of the tile, each tile. That way you can adjust and make each tile fit the profile of the tub with a consistent grout joint, which in this case is going to be 1/16 of an inch. So that's basically what we're going to have. And then I'll cut that off right there. All right, so my laser is set up. Just running this main center line, grout line to that, and then just kind of bricking pattern down. That way I keep everything snug against the line. And then of course I got to try to keep a consistent reveal along the cut of the shower tray. That way it looks nice and tight once we grout that or caulk that. I don't know what I'll do yet. With my quarry tiles or my clay tiles, I'll put them in a bucket of water. That way it soaks up the moisture and it doesn't dry out your mud so fast when you put it on the wall. Because if you don't wet them, you're going to put it on the wall and it's going to dry really quick. It's going to suck all the moisture out of the thin set really fast, and less chance of a good bond. So wet them. Give them a drink. Give them a drink, son. But after you take them out of the bucket, don't leave a sheet of water on them. Just go ahead and they will soak it up, but go ahead and wipe them down. That way you don't have any hydrolock. If you put thin set right on a really wet tile, it's not going to stick. And then I've been doing a little back butter, just a little thin coat. That way you ensure 100% that you get a good bond from the tile to the wall. And don't push really hardcore when you get it. Just take you something flat, grout sponge. Try to keep them all on the same level, same plane. Well, there is one wall complete. I was going to stop it kind of up top a little bit, and then I had a little meeting with the designer, and so we just went all the way to the ceiling. It's going to look better. Moisture, of course, it'll do well. It'll do better with the moisture in this area. Since we're going to all have glass, it will be kind of steamy in there. So we ought to just go all the way to the ceiling with tile. It'll look better, and then that way we'll just, all that'll get wrapped too. We are back at it on day number 2 on setting the tile here in the master. I always like to, when I come into a shower, when I'm walking into the shower, I always like to do that wall first. That way, once your side walls butt into it, your cuts they'll be a little more, oh, excuse me. they will be a little more hidden. They, you know, if you did your sides first and then you come back and cut that back wall, then your cuts, I mean, you'll see every cut. So this way it does kind of hide it just a little bit, because once you walk into the room, you may see it here a little bit, but most of your entry point that you're going to be looking at the shower is going to be directly, you know, into the shower. So once you have your cut here, it's a little more forgiving on your cut. I mean, it's going to be tight and nice and tight, but it just makes it easier if you do your back wall first. In my opinion, back wall first, do your sides. That way you're not looking at that cut and picking it apart, you know what I mean? We got the second wall set up, and I just simply hung the laser on the wall. Used a little piece of wood here just to hang so I wouldn't have to go through my curdy board. We just set up the laser on my first row, and of course centered directly with my faucet, and then I'll just use that as a grout joint. I'm going to put that'll be my grout joint. That way I will separate the two tiles and we'll break it right in the center. So that little transition between the curdy board and the drywall, you can most definitely use curdy band if you want to. I did not. I just used a cement based mesh tape, sticky tape, and I'll just come back with a little layer of thin set over the top of it. I'm not worried about that because water is not going to be an issue splashing up over on top of that. And if it does, by that time, you will have the tile, it will be grouted. So, I mean, you ain't gonna get that crazy, so that is perfectly fine. And I don't know what brand it is, Fiva tape maybe? That's what it is. I guess it just holds up better in the, it's made for concrete or mortar type stuff. I guess the alkaline in the thin set can kind of eat the other one, I guess. I doubt it, but that's what they say, so that's what I used. All right, kind of got day number 2 knocked down. We almost got it finished up. I have to leave a little early. I got to go see my chiropractor, get all organized, get my back all back in line and stuff. But yeah, it's looking good. We should get it finished up tomorrow, and then start over here. I got to go get some Curdy Jolly trim so we can go wrap around those and finish those niches off really nice. I'm going to use black. A little tile tip as you're tiling, and of course I went from right to left, and then yesterday afternoon when I was leaving, these are still kind of damp. I didn't really have anything to keep the tiles tight over against that side. I just use tape. That way you're not having, sometimes you can use nails and push into the Curdy board, but that's not really a good idea, and you can go back and use the Curdy fix to fill the hole. But if you've got a good stable base, I just grabbed some tape. I don't even know what this is, 3M something, but man, it's purple. Man, it's really sticky, really thin, works really well. But I got them all set, just kind of run a long strip and pulled them all tight against what was already set. So if you need a little extra helping hand, a little tape goes a long way. I went and changed up my mud method. I just took the trowel and just smoothed on a coat of mud or thin set on the wall first instead of troweling it. Just seems like it keeps it cleaner, and then I just back buttered it with a trowel on my individual pieces. Just been working better for me. Like I said, keeps it clean. I don't like to get crap everywhere, thin set everywhere. That'd drive me crazy. So this method just it helps me out. Does a little better. And I did use the pipe flashing kit, the Schluter. I didn't show that to you when I put it on there, but you can see how tight it fits around that. We can take this out, put our shower head in there, and it'll seal around the pipe itself. So use your pipe flashing. Right here, I went ahead and Curdy banded this. I'm not worried about putting Curdy board on top of this with the Curdy all set, the Schluter all set, man, that stuff really sticks to about anything. So I just made that waterproof joint here. I think I am gonna use the Curdy board on the jamb itself, but right here sitting on top, I'm not, because we're gonna use a quartz cap, a jamb, I guess if you could call it. But I got all of my waterproofing up to right there. I'm not gonna be worried about this joint. I'm just gonna let it ride. No Curdy band on it, because water's not gonna be susceptible to, being splashed and sitting on top of it. So I just put one strip of Curdy band, and then we're gonna do 2 more runs of tile. The last full run, I'm gonna sneak a piece of black Schluter Jolly in there to give us a nice clean edge. And then once I get my cap, which is gonna be sticking out past on each side, I'll notch around my Jolly trim and then return it back into the wall right here, and it'll look clean. Holy balls, man. I'm gonna have to go silent mode there for a minute, because I turned my microphone around and I didn't have it plugged in all the way. So we did a little silent film. We'll do a little sign language. Golly. Anyway, what I was saying is it's a very important area right there. You need to make sure that is plumbed, because we are gonna have a glass panel in there. There's no forgiveness with the glass panel, so my curb is going to have to be right, my header is going to have to be right, and then my wall needs to be perfectly plumb, just because the glass is, they don't cut the glass out of square. So I snuck the Schluter Jolly trim in there. And as you see, it is hanging past, which that is fine. I'm not worried about it, because my cap is going to be wider. I'm going to have a trim underneath the cap, so we'll probably be hanging out 3/4 of an inch, and then I will notch the jamb to go around it, and you won't see this bottom edge, and it'll look really clean on the top and the bottom. So yeah. So next time I need to check my microphone. Son of a. Now I've got my door threshold, and that sucker needs to be. It needs to be on the money too. It needs to be level, just because you got a huge piece of glass. It's going to be cut square, and you don't want any kind of crazy reveals that are out of level. So your seal needs to be level. Probably the easiest way to do is I'm going to take, well, I thought I was going to take it off. I guess I'm not. The easiest way is to get your board level before you install it, which I did not here, so I'm gonna have to back up and punt. And I done put this back on there. I might have to cut this out and raise it up just a little bit. So I'll figure something out. So I just took off that drywall on the front, and then I'll go back with cement board. Now I got that. Can lift it up a little bit, and I'll just sneak some tile spacers under there, across there a few times, and screw it back down, and we will be level. If you're thinking,
I got him. He ain't got no treated plate under there. No, I don't. But I don't know if you can see that or not. I've taken a regular 2x4 and put zip tape on the bottom of it. That way, once it's sitting on the concrete, it's just sitting on the zip tape. There's no, the concrete and the moisture's not going to get into my board because of the zip tape. And then I didn't use treated up here because I knew this whole entire thing would be wrapped with Curdy band, and I wasn't worried about water getting in there and ever rotting because I believe in the Curdy system. So got you, got him. I've got my pieces. I'm using concrete board on the seal. I've used the Curdy board in the past, but somebody steps on it a few times before you get tile on it. It squishes. I don't know if the Curdy board's a little different than the shower trays. A little different. No, what's the dang word I'm looking for? Denseness. I don't know if it's a little more dense, but so I usually use the concrete board just because it can take more abuse. And don't worry about pitching it yet. I don't worry about pitching the concrete board itself. Once I get it wrapped, I'll put the tile on the outside up to my desired height, tile on the inside to that desired height. I will have a pitch that I usually do a little dry pack mud or some thin set, nice coating of it, and then you've got a good base, good level pitched surface to stick your threshold to, or your tile, whatever you're going to use. But in this case, I'm going to use an entire piece of quartz as a threshold. Now I've got to cut the fiberglass lip. You could build it up to the top of it if you want to, but I want to keep the lip lower than what's allotted there, so I'm going to cut it off. I'm just going to use a grinder with my butter blade from W.K.D tools and a vacuum. Be sure you get it up because you don't want to be breathing fiberglass dust. So now that fiberglass is cut to the lip, I didn't want my concrete board to go over it. Now it's time to think like water. I'm going to get my Curdy fix. We'll make a huge bead in between here, and then of course here, and probably underneath here, and then just set it down, let the Curdy fix caulking ooze out. We'll go ahead and put a few backer board screws in there, and we'll be ready to let that dry, and then we can do a jam on either side, and we'll be ready to do our Curdy band. I got some pre-flashed corners for the outside corners right there, and those, they save a bunch of time and they work really well too. So I had it underneath the corners, now I'm going to go on top. That all sealed off. But once we wrap it in Curdy bands, it won't be no issues. getting into some detailed stuff here in the niches, I was gonna use Schluter, the Jolly trim, the black, but me and the designer talked it over and she thought it might just kind of look, I don't know, just not look very good because it's gonna be framed out black. She said if the grout lines, if we're gonna do black in the grout, then that might be different, but we're not. We're gonna use a lighter, kind of an off-white color. So it might just kind of look like, oh, there's the black square in there. So we are going to miter it. We're mitering every piece. Kind of see that? Got a miter on it. So this whole thing will be mitered. We'll run it up. I got my laser set to there. We'll run these back in line with here. Of course, carry on our brick pattern, our vertical brick pattern, all the way up, over, and then out, and continue all the way up. This will be my last height. Set it just a little bit higher than the wall. Then I come back and put a nice coat of thin set or dry pack mud on there to get this nice and flat later on. But I do install that last tile just a little high. I like to be able to add a little mud to it if I need to. So don't be too low, because if it's not, then you can't get a nice reveal between that and your seal. So a little higher and you can build it up later. You can't cut it too short because it's going to look like crap. So just a little higher, way to go. So I've got my jam started on this piece. On the short piece, I just use the factory edge, because the glaze, if you look at it, the glaze kind of comes over the top a little bit. So you're better off to cut this side and make this side pointy. That way you kind of have that factory corner right there. It'll do a better job. Right here, of course, you can't. You've got to keep the, well, I don't know. I guess I could have turned it around, but it looks better factory to factory. Right there, and then just use a little spacer just for a small tiny grout joint. And then I think I'm going to do the sides. I'm going to put these sides in and then fill in this bottom pieces on each side. Then I'm going to do the back and then the top, and I'll do a little bracing from top to bottom, and then I can set these top pieces and finish up. And all my niches, I usually pitch the seals just a little bit. Gonna see, there's probably maybe 3/16 of a pitch somewhere in there. That just so you put the shampoo bottle, water's gonna run off back out into the shower tray itself, and it won't get as stanky. Because if you let it level, the water's not going to get out of there. So pitch it just a little bit, not a whole lot. You don't want to set your shampoo bottle on there and it slide into the shower, but just a little bit. Very important that you set your niches up. Of course, once you put them in the hole, they need to be level with each other, regardless. But I got the laser set up. As you see, we're right to my line there. So I'm going to use it and set it up to here as well. So you can see. So I'll definitely be able to use both of I'll be able to set both niches to the laser line. So maybe if they are not perfectly installed, then you need to get a common line across there. Say you might have to put a little more mud on this side and a little tighter on this side. So regardless, if your niches are not perfectly installed, it's okay. You could make it up with the tile. Like I said, you could have it a little higher here and then, right to there on this side. So you can work with it, but you've got to know what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? I have a couple of benchmarks for my laser too. I do have a little tripod, or not a little tripod. I do have a tripod, and it won't go low enough to get 12 inches off the floor. So a lot of times I'll just screw it to the wall. But I've got one reference point one reference point, two reference points, and now a third reference point. So I'll just keep this uncovered, and then when I go back, I get all my wall tile set, then I can go ahead and cover that up. But it's very important to keep your tile level all the way around, especially with a well, it's kind of the brick pattern like we're going right here, because you've got two different heights that need to be correct. So keep you a reference point, and you won't have to measure and level and all that stuff. You just screw it to the wall, hang it, and go. So now I've got the bottom of this niche, and it does have a pitch to it, and probably the easiest way to find that pitch, that angle, is just a little angle finder, little I call her Rosie. It's just an adjustable square angle finder. So what you do is just basically put it in there, fit both sides to what you want it to. Now if I can tighten it down. There. And then we can take our piece, which goes inside of there. Get a Sharpie. Get the Sharpie. Holy cow, now we got angle. On this niche, turn my freaking watch off. So on the niche, to keep everything nice and level and keep from sagging, I usually just take something and build a little support for it. So I just, these are all set up nice and hard. I just already had this point set. Just put my other leg, make sure I'm level. Actually, it needs to go up just a hair. Oh, yeah, right there. So now I'm level, and now I know where my joints are. I can measure to my joints, just set them, and you don't have to fool with them, just let them dry. And then we can go work on this one, and then come back, and then we will fill in all of this backside. It just make that outside, the outside appearance needs to be really, really perfect. So if you have to fudge a little bit on the inside, that's fine, but this outside needs to be money, you know what I mean? Because that's what you're gonna see. And that's a lot of tile too. I mean, if something catches your eye and doesn't look right, it's not right. So if your grout joints are consistent, all your reveals, you know what I mean, they're all consistent. You gotta fudge sometimes. It's just, there's no way around it. So just as long as, you gotta be within the parameters. You don't need to just go crazy, but just as long as you're pretty much level and plumb, in line. That's one of the biggest things, is keeping everything in line. That's what I look at when I go somewhere, is just, I'll start looking at reveals and lines and stuff like that, and if it's out, you notice it right off the bat. So you do have to fudge, but straight and level get you what you need. Well, we've just about got our niches done. Jimmy had that one cut and he dropped it and broke it, so he went to cut another one. But I'm about to install the preformed Curdy band corner, and yeah, it's pretty easy. It's pretty nice, all one piece. So I'm just gonna trim it up. I'll put the corner on, and then I'll run my Curdy band up that way. It will you will be shingling the waterproofing membrane, from the top down. Sometimes you got to be the water. You got to think like the water. So I'll cut it, butt it, and be good to go. So now I will start my Curdy band right here, make the corner, and wrap to the top there. Beautiful. I don't know if that fooled you or not, but here's a little trick you can do sometimes. That is not 2 pieces of tile. That is 1 piece of tile. And I just took the wet saw and put a faux grout joint in there. So now I've got, make your job a little quicker and be on point, son. Yes, sir. That definitely speeds you up not having to put 2 pieces versus just 1 whole piece. Be sure to keep it square. So there, we still got to do the top. I was just going to show you before I did the top because I can put that bracing back in there, but those are all fake grout lines in the back. That way I could just put 1 whole piece. Not have to fool with 2. It just saved me a little time, and you will never know the difference. Especially you ain't gonna be looking behind the shampoo bowl and nothing, or the shampoo bottle. But yeah, save you time. Looks pretty good too. We got them niches done. These are going to be fun, piecing these little pieces. But my next plan of action is I'm going to put some concrete board on the header just to give something for the tile or the quartz to bond to. So we're going to do that, and I just checked it with the level. It is super level because when Brent and Steve built it, they used the laser. So it is dead money because it needs to be on point because, like I said, the glass, we have got to run parallel. This and this have definitely got to run parallel with each other because we're gonna have glass. So it needs to be on it. You cannot not be off because the glass won't fit in there. So make sure your header and your seal right there are perfectly level. Here's our setup. Just went ahead and put some concrete board up there, and then I've got a ledger board temporarily screwed up there, and I did drop it down about a thickness. I put some cardboard in there, that way my tile will set down below my concrete board just a little bit. That way I got a little play with the mud if I need to, the whatever I use to adhesive. Probably just use thin set, but that gives me a little room for play. You don't want to be at tight all the way up against there in case there is a little variance in your header or your tile. So that gives you a little slack if you keep a little room, kind of like I did right here. Raise this up just a hair. Then I set my laser up, continued it up that way. That's the easiest way to find where your tiles will be in line. So our section of headers works. That works really well. Get that super level, then you just set it on top and go. No problems, no shimming, no nothing. So easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I got my side jams installed on there. I just used the Curdy board, but I did have to shim it to get it to the laser. And if you're gonna, you can make it up, definitely make it up in your tile or whatever you're gonna put on there. But I just wanted to make that jam a little a little more plumb just to make sure, since we get that glass door going in there. But I use these instead of wood shims. It's a composite shim. There's no, you know, it's not wood, so it's not going to swell or do anything if moisture does sneak in there some way or another. Like I said, it's not going to swell. You don't want to have that shim tight and it's swelling on you. So composite are a pretty good option versus using just a wood cedar shim. But I'm gonna jump on the curb. We'll get to all this Curdy band flashing detail. We'll get it done. Come up the inside, of course, go down that side. I got the inside corner on there, but I'll start with the inside preform corner, work my way up. And then that's probably all I'll do. I'm not gonna do the outside since it's not a vulnerable spot for water, since we're gonna have a full jam on there, one piece quartz, so water's not really gonna leach in anywhere and get to this side. We are on the last wall of the shower. I went ahead and put a false jam in there, got it level, got a jam right here, lasered up, got it nice and plumb. Now I know exactly my tile. I can basically go right to this board, and once I take this board off after the tile sets up and dries, then I know that's straight. And once I get my quartz jam, I can just basically just put it right to it and no issues whatsoever. All right, so here was a little tricky situation. I had these tiny cuts, about 5/8 of an inch, and then my wall, of course it did stick up for my wall, so there's not a whole lot to stick it to. But I just used some Curdy Fix, stuck me some tile spacers in there, and then took a board, put on the front of it, clamped it to these set tiles, and then I just wedged these tiles against the board and then just let them dry up. And so I'll just come back, cut these wedges off, and I did cut them a little high. You can see how high those are. Well, I'm just gonna come back and sand them down. I'm just gonna sand them. That was the easiest way, in my opinion, to get it to where I can have a nice transition through there, because they do vary just a little bit. But yeah, I'm just gonna sand them since they are just the ceramics. It sands really easy, and yeah. So there we go. It is grout day. So just kind of getting that dressed up, making sure we don't have any little boogers in there. And then we're gonna use the Latacrete grout. So if I get into all my crap, where are we at? Right here. There we go. Permacolor Select color kit. Walnut made by Latacrete. So you got this, which is your color kit, and then you've got your grout base, which these are 12.5 pound bags. One color. This comes with two color packs. If I can get it open. So there it is. You just take that out of the bag, and then you can just put the other small bag it comes in. You just drop it into your grout and mix it up. It kind of dissolves by itself. Yeah, and this thing comes with its own, let's see that right there. Once you fill it up to a certain, there it is. You just fill it up to a certain line. There's a certain amount of water that goes with this pack. You add no more water, no more. I mean, it's got to be precise, and you work it, and you better be ready to get it, because it dries up all at once, seems like. Because I guess the engineers have designed it to flash and set up at a certain amount of time. I forgot what it is. I forgot how much working time it is, but by golly, you better be done with that amount at that time. So we have kind of just stuck with the 12.5 pound bags. We have done a big bag before, but I think we had to throw half of away. We could not work it fast enough to get it in there. So still, I stick with the smaller bags and just small batches and work it. You can usually get to a stopping and starting point, pretty good. But yeah, be careful with it. I'm gonna go ahead and grout the corners, or they're gonna grout the corners. I'm gonna grout everything except around the ceiling where the tile meets the ceiling and the tile meets the shower base. So everything else I just grout. I like to grout the corners because usually the grout caulking is not 100% match, and I just like it better to grout the corners. I've not had any issues for as long as I've been doing it. You may get a hairline crack, but if you've got superior waterproofing in behind it like the W.K.D, there's no issue. Brent and Jimmy got the shower grouted, and now I just kind of took all the cardboard out of the bottom, cleaning everything up, because now I need to caulk the very top where the tile meets the ceiling, and then where the tile meets the shower base. I'm just cleaning it up, and if you do get some residual, which we had everything taped off, but if you do get some residual grout or thin set or whatever, I just take a painter's tool, very lightly, just scrape the thin set off. If you do have the thin set, it comes off pretty easy. And then if you got a little residue with some grout or whatever, just kind of got a stiff bristle brush. It may take a few times, but it will come off. The shower base does have a gel coat on it, so it's really hardy. It can take some cleaner. So yeah, just keep scrubbing. It'll finally come off. All right, clean as a whistle. You can either use your fingernail too. Fingernail works. I mean, you don't want something metal and just gouging the piss out of it, so you can use your fingernail. A little piece of plastic, maybe a little towel wedge or something, just something to kind of, or a Scotch-Brite pad, be easy on it. But yeah, don't do nothing like a wire brush or anything. Something that's got a pretty rigid brush on it works really good. So I used this 2 or 3 times, sponge a couple times, my fingernail, and comes off. I'll let this dry, air out, and then I'll come back and get my grout match caulking and finish it up. And for a nice clean caulk joint, use a little tape. This is delicate surface tape, but that'll just give you a crisp, cleaner line. Plus, what's so hard about it is this is kind of textured. So once you start rubbing the caulk, it gets all into the pores there, and it's kind of hard to get out. So little tape, run your bead of caulk, just kind of wipe on the wall side, and then we'll come back and just peel the tape off, and it'll keep it a nice cleaner line. Here in the shower, where I run these little pieces long, when I had to piece in those tiny short pieces, and I just stuck them up there, let them dry, and cut them a little long. That way it made it easier to apply. So now I just took a straight edge and leveled from my ones that were already set, my long pieces. These were set first, and then I put these little pieces in, so I just made a mark from one side to the other. And I'm just taking my W.K.D Tools baby diamond cone, and just kind of getting that back down into plane with these two. And then I'll probably take a little diamond pad and just kind of soften it up just a little bit. need to wrap this jamb on the outside. I need to put trim on it. That way, when I put my seal and my jamb and my cap, it's going to actually overhang a quarter of an inch right here, and then about an eighth on the back side. But I want a piece of trim out here. That way, we got something to finish it off with. So I'm going to use a one by, kind of like a door casing on each side, and then we'll probably rip it down to a small 1 3/4 inch and wrap around the header and on the outside here, and that gives something for the seal to set on, and it's not going to move over time versus just trying to, you know, it needs something to clean it up. So that's what we're going to do. And you need to make sure that your jamb is square with your shower. So just take a frame and square it. Put it on your tile that you got set. Slide it till you hit your tile on the inside. And I'm touching, make sure you're touching here. That way, once you put your seal on, everything will be square together. And of course, plumb up. Make sure you're good. And you'll be good to go.
All right, y'all, that was it. That was my video on how we set tile in the master shower at the Melton Farm Project. Well, I hope y'all picked up maybe a few pointers, a few little tricks that I've used that you might implement into your tile work. It's just, man, you just gotta push hard, try a little, give a little extra effort. I know sometimes you run into stuff that you don't know, so it's not going to be as clean, but there's stuff out there. There's so much stuff out there that you can learn from other people now. You can get on everything. When I started, that was not available, so I had to learn on my own through trial and error. But we are almost finished up with the Melton Farm Project. Just a few more videos, and then we will get started on this. Man, I'm super excited. This is going to be our forever home. So this is the first sneak peek that I've given in a video. So there's going to be a lot of cool stuff on this one, man. We're building this. We're building this with all the bells and whistles. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this series on the Dykes Home Project. So that'll be soon. I don't know when exactly, but it's gonna be killer. Once again, I am Keith Dykes. That was the master tile installation at the Melton Farm Project. Thanks for watching, and as always, got it, coach. You guys have a wonderful day.